Good evening. Welcome to this month's Town Administrators Report. I'm David Watts Jr., and with me is our Town Administrator, Steve Maio. Steve, welcome.
How are you, David?
Welcome back from vacation.
No, a few days, yep. Well-kept secret, but it was good.
We're taking a little more casual, no ties this month.
It's a kind of a dreary, miserable, raw, rainy day, so we didn't want to wear ties.
Keyword here is rain.
Keyword is rain.
Yep.
We're not using any other words other than that.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the issues that came up most recently, in fact, in the last 2 days at Selectmen's meeting, is downtown parking yet again. But a new wrinkle. The Traffic Advisory Committee has come to the Selectmen with a proposal.
Yes, the proposal was that there are 4 spaces that abut or head into the public safety building on the left when you look at it, that they would like to designate as for public safety building use only. The basis for that is it's kind of confusing over there where the signage is. We also wanted to keep a couple of those spaces, which are already there now, for 30 minutes only, because there's people that go into the public safety building getting registering a firearm or getting a permit to burn leaves or something like that, or looking for smoke detectors, things like that they come in and out. So that was the proposal that was going in front of the Board of Selectmen, and all regulatory changes in parking need the Board of Selectmen's approval on it. And boy, as soon as that agenda hit the paper, it was like grease hitting a skillet all over social media.
It was all over Facebook.
All over Facebook, yeah. So basically, and I'm not sure that a lot of people didn't assume that they were for the public safety building to begin with, right?
Because of where they're located.
A lot of them are for a lot of the around the public safety building,
right?
Are for that anyway,
right? There are some spaces that are designated for firefighters only,
right?
And there are some spaces to the right which are designated for public safety business.
Exactly.
So I'm not sure a lot of people outside of the people who are speaking against this proposal didn't already figure that those were public safety parking spaces anyway.
Right.
Obviously from the item last night, Tuesday night, the reaction of a couple people was very negative.
Right, and I can understand that because there's some construction going on in the downtown now anyway.
Right.
So there are some parking spaces that are not being allowed to be used during the day while that construction is going on. And it's a great project. It's upgrading the electrical and gas power to buildings in the downtown that haven't been upgraded in decades. And it's being paid for by Brightview, even though Brightview is not going to directly benefit from it. So it's a great thing, but it does upset parking. You have wintertime that, when there is a lot of snow, it does upset parking. Although we do clean the square diligently, there are going to be areas that you're not as readily going to park in. And we've been through this for a long time. We've been through it for years. There is, at the bare minimum, the perception that we do not have enough parking in the downtown for the businesses that are down there now. It's probably reality, not just perception, but there is that bare minimum. What we struggle with, and we've talked about this a number of times, is, all right, what do we do? How do we provide more parking in a limited area? And as importantly, amazingly to me, is how do we get patrons and employees, and I'm going to call employees out, employees especially, to utilize parking that is away from the downtown to allow the patrons to use it? Because I will tell you, on any given day, a lot of those spaces downtown are utilized by employees and owners of businesses. And I don't know what it's like, why it's this way in the suburb, and I guess suburb isn't. You could say it's easy for me because, I could, look out my window and see my car. A lot of people want to see their car out their window of where their office is. It hasn't always been that way for me. I've worked in cities where, hey, I didn't see it. It was in a garage. You don't see it. But that seems to be, I guess, kind of where we are at in the suburbs a lot. So that's an issue that we've struggled with, and we've struggled with it for years. How do we provide more parking? And some of the issues, some of the attempts at resolving this we've taken over the years, and we've talked about this, is when the old Galvin was there, there was a string of spaces along the Civic Center side. We actually went out to the business and say, would you like to register? And we'll give you a placard to park in that space. And there was maybe 25 spaces. Try to take the edge off a little bit. I think we had one or two businesses that actually took advantage of that. Really? I mean, so then well, geez, maybe there isn't a parking issue, but there is a parking issue, so.
Anytime you go down, especially Saturday mornings.
Yeah, Saturday
after
mornings,
10 o'clock.
Right.
Forget
which is a good thing. I mean, it's good that the businesses are that busy.
Yeah.
You want to go to Brothers for breakfast on Sunday morning. It's pretty tough to park then, too. Luckily, some of the other businesses aren't open. The banks aren't open, so you do have those spaces. But the library's open on Sundays, and so there's parking that's needed there, too. So I understand that people were concerned about at least the perception of removing parking spaces from the public inventory and how that would affect their businesses. And I get that. I get that. And I think the selectmen made the right move. They did say, let's look at it. They challenged me to look at it. What I intend to do is take the market assessment report that will be presented to the selectmen on the 14th. Doesn't talk about parking per se, but there is a so-called inventory of the businesses and the office spaces that we have in the downtown. So let's see what we're looking at, because we have actually gone and done that, or the group on the committee has done that. Invite people to chat about it, whether that be the Merchants Organization, the Chamber of Commerce, the Main Streets Organization. We'll invite local businesses, Traffic Advisory Committee members, and let's see what we can do to maybe look at this. People talk about there are spaces that can be had, and let's look at it. Maybe we can be more creative and maybe work with some of our private business owners in the district that maybe have some extra spaces that maybe they'd like to make an Alano type deal where the town does actually lease spaces for public use. So let's bring everyone into that conversation, and then let's maybe try to come forward with something a little bit different. So that's kind of where we were. But it was interesting to see it take off on Facebook.
But one of the things that you mentioned was spaces downtown being used by employees. All the spaces downtown are marked for an amount of time. And this is something that at least one speaker, if not more, brought up Monday night. There are parking limits downtown. What is the difficulty? And this has come up almost as much as available parking spaces. What is the difficulty in enforcing those parking times?
I'll tell you what will happen is that in the past, let's say there's all of a sudden, we tell people, hey, we're going to really be a lot more vigilant about parking enforcement in the downtown. And, the police go out and they do their blitz, and people are getting tickets after ticket after ticket. They go a little bit crazy. They call the Board of Selectmen, scream at selectmen members. The selectmen call me and say, what's going on? Well, here's what's going on. Oh, Steve, these merchants driving, they can barely make it now. They have no place for employees to go. It becomes a vicious circle. Can you slow down on the? I've been through it over 20 years. I've seen this cycle go on and on. So there is that issue, and part of me feels that. Although I have to say that I'm moving away from this, it would be nice if we provided a place for people to go. Because I do get it. I mean, some of them maybe don't have the knowledge or the wherewithal or to say, you know what, I need to park my car somewhere. Okay, I get that. I can't put it on Main Street. I can't put it on Albion Street. I can't put it in the residential areas because that does affect the residences. Where do I go? Do I go to the Lincoln School parking lot? Is that an area we can look at? Do I go behind the Almond headquarters? Is that an area we should look at? And then I have, should I go to the Galvin parking lot? But only 2 did. So I got a little jaded after that happened, saying, well...
And plus that option now is off the
that,
table.
That really is off the table, the
yeah.
way that's configured and the way that school is
Right.
used. And the way that we have so much more going on at the Civic Center with the Boys and Girls Club and what have you. So I think that part of it should be that we should, look into what can we provide that's in the area. Because again, I say, if you were working in Boston, you might, if you did drive in, you might park your car and then walk 3 or 4 blocks from a garage.
Sure.
People in the suburbs don't like to do that. Yet, people will do it when they go shopping at the Burlington Mall. They'll park their car way somewhere because it's, and then they'll walk through that parking lot, probably 2 or 3 city blocks, and then
further than the length of downtown.
Further than length of downtown. So
yeah.
It's. But I do think that we collectively can work together. I've already had some chats with some people that are on the Main Street organization, Chamber of Commerce members. So let's see what we can do. Let's try again. And I think that's where the selectmen were with it. So I think they made a great decision to let's kind of take a step back. Status quo we know isn't great. And they don't have to be big money solutions either. I mean, we just posted along Main Street going towards, from Crescent Street towards Salem Street, a couple of blocks of signs with 2-hour parking available. And people are starting to go. You'll see a couple there every day. Someday I'll see nothing all day, and then look, there'll be a couple there. So that's a couple of spaces that people have found. Again, trying to get the turnover, the 2-hour turnover. And then the other question is, 2 hours the right time? Should it be 1 hour? Should it be 2 hours? Should it be 3 hours? In some areas, we have 15 minutes.
Right.
So there's that component of it too.
There are a lot of communities around us, and one that I'm very familiar with is Cambridge, that do enforce very stringently.
Right, and they have meters.
And they have meters in their case. But even those rare places where they don't have meters, they enforce very, very stringently, which they have to. With all the parking that you can find in Cambridge, it's still tough to park.
Yeah, Cambridge is a lot tougher than really than we are.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that if we're going to have the signs up, we should do something. We should do something, especially if a car is going to be there 4 or 5 or 6 hours.
Right.
That's not fair to the people that, and it bothers me especially when I hear on the cable casts or see in the newspaper articles business owners complaining about, well, the customers can't park downtown to come to our store. Well, if you're taking up spaces downtown, isn't that equally as bad as what you're saying?
It is ironic that actually some of them do say that. Or their employees.
And that really kind of, for me, makes the argument that much weaker.
Yeah. And I have had a couple of citizens promote the paid parking on Main Street. And I think that's should be discussed. A pay and display model. Query, would that prevent you from paying for all day?
Yeah.
So I think there has to be some issues there. Maybe people are happy to pay whatever it is to park there all day in front of their store. That doesn't help things in the long run because it's a turnover that you're looking for.
Right.
So.
And if you want customers in the stores, you must have a parking turnover.
Yeah, you must. You need that. We do have bike racks and what have you. Not many people, there's a segment that are, but people are not riding their bikes, particularly in the winter, to go down and park, or many people aren't. I'm sure some are. We're not a society of walkers as much as we used to be, so I don't think a lot of people are walking downtown, where you certainly could. So we need to do something. So we'll put together a little bit of a coalition and talk about this and see if we can come up with some sort of steps to take that. I'm not going to say everyone's going to be happy because they're not.
Right.
We've learned that over the years.
Somebody's going to be unhappy
Somebody's not
about
gonna
something.
But you know what? I think that if we do get a little bit more of a consensus and get some more input, I think that'll work out well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and maybe that also will drive filling up some of the empty spaces that are downtown right now.
Yeah, no, it will
Although-
be another way to reach out to some of
Right.
the landlords anyway.
Although two seem to be in process, the new sports bar,
Yeah.
where Duck Walk used
Yeah.
to be,
Yeah.
and it looks like they're also getting ready to work on the Chinese restaurant next to the current takeout.
Oh, are they
restaurant
back
where
working on
Walker's-
there? Okay.
I know, it
haven't
looked
looked
like
up-
it was
okay.
emptied out more than...
Okay, all right, maybe I hope so.
when I was
'cause
downtown the other night.
I had heard that had hit a snafu. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was a lot more work than needed to be done.
Yeah,
That was anticipated. But
yeah.
I hope I'm wrong, and I know there's some activity going on the old Molise site as well. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so
that would be
that
nice to...
helpful.
That's been empty almost,
Yeah,
3 years?
That'd be helpful. Yeah. Yep,
Long time.
Some very interesting landlords to work with. I'll leave it at that.
Now, earlier you mentioned the utility work downtown,
Yeah.
which started just after the first of the year.
Yeah, I know it started really before then, but yeah,
Okay.
it hasn't been that long.
But seriously.
yeah,
And now they've moved from the Savings Bank parking lot area
yeah.
to the actual downtown.
Yeah,
How
they're-
long is that going to be going on?
I think that they're looking at hopefully another week or two.
Mhm.
Then that will be done in the downtown area. Right now, what they're doing is actually bringing in the tie-ins to the actual buildings.
Mhm.
So in the spring, they'll come back and they'll put the new concrete and relay that whole thing. I did have a citizen call me and say they're not going to leave it this way, are they? I said no, that's for the winter. We really can't do that in the winter. But that's always a good question.
Right,
Good question.
right.
So that's they will be bringing that back to a nice where it should be in the spring. So that's unfortunate, necessary headache right now.
Mhm.
And I think that didn't help with the timing of this other issue here because you have those spaces there too. So
Right.
I kind of say, if you were in the city again, you see this all the time. You're going to Boston, you're going to see that all the time.
Any city.
Any city.
Yeah.
We're not Boston, so
Right. Any city.
I get it.
But even Melrose last year was going through a lot of road work downtown and down Lebanon Road.
Yeah, near the hospital.
Yeah. So,
I always tease Mayor Dolan. That's the longest project I've ever seen in my life.
and staying with the downtown, for people who have been watching it, Brightview has started.
Yep, they have started. They've most of the buildings are down there. I think it's 338 Main Street, which is that wood building in the back.
Mm-hmm.
That's still there for now for staging. That'll be coming down, I think, shortly.
The old Frame building.
The old Frayden building.
Yeah.
That'll be coming down shortly.
Yep.
They appear to be on schedule, and I know that our building inspector is very vigilant, is over there now every day. It appears to me that the site has been kept fairly neat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a tight site, so we expect them to keep it neat. We expect everyone to keep it neat, but, a site that's being built, like the Galvin.
Right.
The Galvin was built amongst other buildings and properties. It wasn't.
Oh, it was basically built at the back of the
Yeah,
existing
yeah.
school
And-
for most of
yeah,
its...
and that had to be kept very neat and
Sure.
clean, and it was. So
Sure.
that can be done. Tight sites can be done. So we're anxious to see that underway. And then we'll have, and I will tell you right now that in the decision, the workers for the Brightview project,
Mm-hmm.
they will not be allowed to park in the downtown. They will have to shuttle. They're shuttling them from somewhere, just like we did with the Galvin.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be some that will they'll tell you that will try to skirt the issue, and when that happens, we'll take care of them just like we did with those with the Galvin. I mean, it was like one phone call. We're going to start towing all these cars.
Mm-hmm.
The people on Armory Street were great about letting me know what was going on, and call the super. Boy, within 5 minutes, those cars were all moved. There's no issues at all. So that can happen here too.
Speaking of cars, one of the big controversies at the regular town meeting last November was whether or not to continue the December to April parking ban,
Yes.
which was voted down.
Yes.
There was no parking ban
there
this
really
winter.
has been no parking ban.
How has that worked out?
I think for the most part, pretty well. I will give the caveat to say that it has been a better winter to have that maybe implemented.
At least as a trial.
At least as a trial.
Yeah.
And, you know, there have been areas where I've gone around and seen people that did not move their car, or perhaps, you know, and we did not call a ban with 1 or 2 inches of snow, and we may not call a ban with 1 or 2 inches of snow.
Mm-hmm.
People did not move their car. So, you know what, and a couple of those people have kind of very strange, I get a lot of strange comments from people, let me tell you. You know, geez, I wish you had called the parking ban because I would have moved my car and I had a hell of a time shoveling it out afterwards. I would have been better off moving it. Well, feel free to move your car at any time.
Yeah,
I mean,
if the weather says snow,
use some common sense.
yeah.
In fact, we've even kind of added that to our reverse 911.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that the complaints have been minimal. We haven't had massive issues for it either. So that has helped.
Yeah.
But as I've talked with, and as I've learned talking, you know, with particularly our DPW director, all the decisions on snow plowing are made between 1 and 3 inches. I mean, after it gets over that, the decisions come a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know, between 1 and 3 is where, you know, do you salt, do you sand, do you pre-treat, do you send out the plows? What do you do? How cold is the roadway? There's all these things that come along.
Well, it was like yesterday. We were predicted 1 to 3 inches, and we got barely a coating.
Right, if that, and that changed all day. I mean, we were contemplating, in fact, you know, I was corresponding with the chief of police, with the DPW director.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to have a parking ban? In the morning, I think we were leaning more towards it for that evening. As the day went on, it's like we're going to get nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't, and we didn't. Mm-hmm. So a few weeks earlier, we had on the weekend one, where it kind of rolled back in, and we got a little bit more than we thought. So it is, we're learning, obviously, on it. But I think overall it has worked well, and I think most people are better appreciative of the fact that for most nights there hasn't been an issue with them. Mm-hmm. You know, my issue on that whole thing was mainly among when college was out for the winter break, and you'd have the students home, and you had now you had families that have 2 spaces, and now they have 4 kids in there juggling. And that's on a night where there's nothing going on. I get it, and they're getting. You know, they're getting ticketed, and they're wrong because they're in the street. But what are they going to do? So but it's worked out okay. It's worked out okay.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
You know, so
could have been a lot worse.
Could have been. But you know, if you get a lot of snow, it's easy. You put the ban right back in, and it doesn't matter.
Going back to parking, with the new businesses that have opened up in Greenwood, we talk about Greenwood sometimes. Parking's going to be the next issue down there, because they have been wildly between Chibo's and the new Japanese fusion restaurant. Feng's.
Yeah.
It's getting busy downtown
Greenwood.
Greenwood.
Greenwood is doing quite well, and when it does quite well, there's other problems that arise. Feng's does have its own parking lot.
Yeah.
So that does work.
Well, it's also part of a parking lot for a bunch of other
businesses,
and there are
that you would
3 restaurants in there alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, 2 in that, and then one that's on the corner.
Yeah. Feng's, Portobello's, and Greenwood House of Pizza.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Which is more of a takeout place, but they still need to get in now. Yeah, they're going to have some growing pains down there. I think we're also going to see the Hallmark Health coming in and building a building where the Subaru site is. So you're going to see a lot more traffic in the area.
When
which
is
I think
that
is great.
projected to?
They are in there. They're going to be filing with the Board of Appeals at any time now. So that's they've already bought the land.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to happen. So that's a great little success story, I think, for the town.
Right.
You know, you have the old Melrose Paint, which was a wonderful store.
Which is coming along beautifully.
I'm not so sure what's going in there, but I think you're going to see activity. So,
not sure. It looks kind of like it's going to be a multi-purpose business.
Yeah,
but
it looks that way.
The fact that it's no longer empty and it's going to be something is great.
Good. So Greenwood is going to experience, what the downtown has too. There are not huge parking opportunities there either. I
Right.
think we have some parking opportunities in the downtown area on the margins. I don't think we have that in Greenwood as much.
No, you have the line of parking spaces which are MBTA,
Yes,
which takes away from that.
right.
And there's
Well, those aren't MBTA. Those are, I guess, technically you could pay and display and park there all day
okay.
if you wanted to. Those are town spaces.
Oh, they are town
Yeah.
spaces. Okay.
But what we found is that we had a lot of people coming in from out of town and parking there all
Mhm.
day. And hey, if it's there, we might as well. And we did, we get a few dollars from it, not a lot,
Mhm.
but so there is that whole line of, and that is actually, as the economy's gotten better, you've seen more and more cars there
Mm-hmm.
than you did before. So that's a good
Mhm.
thing.
Mm-hmm. Couple of empty spaces in Greenwood to fill.
Yeah, but
But,
Greenwood's not too many. Greenwood is
no.
filling up quickly.
No, there's only that one where the laundromat and then
Yeah.
consignment store was
Right.
for a long time. And really, that's the only one that's
Yeah.
been empty for any length
Yeah,
of
and,
time.
and I think that when the new Hallmark Health building comes in, you're going to see a lot of activity down there, a lot of employees,
Yep.
and pay, and activity patients coming in there. They're going to want to. So I think you're going to see that.
It's nice to see the area revitalized, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Although it looks like another one just recently closed. Greenwood Food Mart is now
But
closed.
that's and someone new is coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not even going to miss a beat.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, excellent.
It's
You
kind
know?
of funny when we moved from Greenwood to the other side of town years ago. One of the caveats that when we were looking for a bigger house, I should say, one
Mhm.
of the caveats that one of our kids had was that they still had to be able to walk, could be able to walk to Greenwood Food Mart. Well, that kind of went away. We said, well, there's another store over there, but that was kind of interesting that was something that's what the kids wanted.
Yeah, yeah. Although now it would be Chibo's.
Now it would be Chibo's, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, which has
Chibo's
been a great success.
It has been a fabulous, and the D'Amici family has done a wonderful job with that. And I said to them when they left New Salem Street, I was heartbroken, and I said, please find a way to come back to Wakefield, and they did.
Yeah.
So, and it's a great
Big
great
time.
spot.
And
Great
it's
sandwiches.
that's one of those things you don't mind not finding parking because
Yeah.
you know it's working well.
Yeah, and they have a lot there too. They have their own lot in the back there. There's some spaces.
Yeah,
in
but
there.
about half of it is
Right.
for the apartment
Right, but
building.
there's still some,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there is parking along there, and it's tough. But I've always been lucky, I guess. Going
I think a
down
few
there.
people sneak across the street to the Most Blessed Sacrament
Absolutely, why
parking
not?
area, I'm
Why
sure.
not? Why not? It's all in God's name.
Well, as we're coming up to the end, the next show we'll start to talk about town meeting, which is coming up
Yes,
May 2nd,
yes.
is the first session,
First session, yeah.
and we're predicting 4 sessions.
I think that.
We don't have a
Three
warrant to
anyway.
really look at.
I know, we don't. I have not heard of any lengthy zoning issues coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So those tend to take a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think 2-3 sessions anyway. So I think it'll be good. It's all of the numbers and the budgets seem to be coming in
Right.
what we had hoped. Still part of our plan with the school department, and I
Mhm.
think we're going to get through another couple of years, and things will actually start seeing things
Mhm.
not easing up, but we kind of look. We have budgets projected to 2024 right now, so everything seems to be pretty much coming in where we think. A little
Mhm.
bit more from the state, so we'll dissect those numbers next month.
All good news. And thank you for joining us this month. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. And I'll wear a tie next month because it's budget season, so we got to get back in the month.
We'll see you next month. Take care.